The road to ending the longest playoff drought in major American sports starts right now here on Locked On Mariners.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Friday, April 8th, 2022, and this is the Locked On Mariners podcast. Happy opening day, Mariners fans. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. I am your host, Tidy Gonzalez, joined as always by my co-host, Colby Patno. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at LO_Mariners, and you can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DANE. GNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Be sure to also check out our Patreon, where we talk about the Mariners even more and also get into some non-baseball talk twice a week. Visit patreon.com/Control the Zone for more information on that if you are interested. On today's episode of Locked On Mariners, we'll be previewing this afternoon's opening day matchup between the Minnesota Twins and your Seattle Mariners. We're also going to be making some predictions for the game and the rest of the weekend and get you set for the games that'll go down before you hear from us again on Monday. And if this is your first time joining us here, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, all that good stuff. We'd greatly appreciate it. So Colby, it's been a long off season, man. We've spent a lot of these shows talking about Brian Reynolds and Trevor Story and Chris Bryant and so on and so forth. We had a lot of Fan Fiction Fridays and Mailbag Mondays, and now a lot of those questions have been answered. We're here. It's opening day. The lockout was lifted a little over a month ago, or about a month ago, and we're only a week delayed. And here we are, well, and an extra day delayed as well because of the weather situation in Minneapolis. However, we are here. Robbie Ray is making his debut this afternoon against Joe Ryan and the Minnesota Twins. How are we feeling?
Happy, mostly. Whether they win or lose, who knows? Mariners are weirdly good on opening day. It's one of the few things you can count on as a Mariners fan. Them winning on opening day and being on the road on the 4th of July. Two things I count on most years from the Seattle Mariners. So mostly just happy that we're here. I didn't think we were ever really in danger of losing the entire season or anything like that. But there was a time there towards the end of the negotiations where it felt like this could be May, or they could be, we could be waiting until the end of April. But we're here. Only about a week later than we thought, or than what we were hoping we would be. And the Seattle Mariners are going to play a meaningful baseball game today. So hopefully the weather is cooperating throughout the game. I know it's still going to be cold. I think there's still some decent wind gusts. So we'll see how the Mariners outfielders handle that. But it should be fine because that's a group of Gold Glovers right out there. So it should be okay. And thankfully, Robbie Ray's not like a heavy fly ball pitcher, so things will work out.
Yeah. That's a little bit concerning. Now let's pull back the curtain a little bit here because we are recording this on Thursday, actual opening day. So this can get out to you guys here in the early morning. So you're watching this right now, hopefully in the early morning before the game has happened. So right now the forecast looks pretty good in Minneapolis for the 3:10 local time first pitch. I believe it's sunny with very little cloud coverage, so that's nice. But wind, as you mentioned, could be a factor in this one. Overall, though, let's talk about the lineup, which I would presume is going to be something similar to the last few lineups they ran out at the end of spring training. So that would be Adam Frazier leading off, Ty France hitting second, Jesse Winker hitting third, Mitch Haniger hitting cleanup, Eugenio Suarez hitting fifth, playing third base, Julio Rodriguez in center field, which was confirmed on the day that we're recording by Jerry DiPoto to be happening, not as if that was really up for debate. Jared Kelenic hitting seventh, playing left field, Tom Murphy doing the catching, I would assume. Maybe Luis Torrens. I'm hoping it's Luis Torrens, but probably going to be Tom Murphy. And then J.P. Crawford, of course, hitting ninth, playing shortstop. How are we feeling about the lineup?
Yeah, it's the best it's looked, certainly since 2018, when Cano and Cruz and and Mitch were kind of doing their thing, and Seager too. So it's definitely better than the last few years, which not saying a ton, but it is improvement.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm assuming it's going to be Murphy or Raleigh. I really don't think they're going to put Torrens in the opening day lineup, which is a mistake to me. We've talked about that quite a bit, on recent episodes. I think Torrens should be catching a majority of the games for the first few weeks here, but we'll see what they decide to do with that spot. But it's hard not to like. Are there some tweaks I would make here and there? Yeah, I'd probably want Winker to hit first or second, but like it's not a huge deal. And it'll be nice to have a legitimate leadoff man in Adam Frazier. JP did a nice job in that spot, but he's just not quite good enough to get the most at bats on your team. So moving him down to 9 and kind of having this double leadoff guy when you wrap around the lineup with JP and Frazier, that's a lot of contact. And then you have the Thunder coming in behind them with France, Winker, Haniger, and Suarez. There's a lot to like here. I think it's going to be, I'm assuming that we're going to get at least, everyday big league production from Julio and Kelnick. So if that's the case, then I think this lineup is probably middle of the pack. I think it's, probably somewhere in the 10 to 18 range, but we need to understand that the difference between 18 and 10 isn't that big, and a lot of teams can make the case that they are middle of the road offense. So we'll see, but this is a lineup that could score, 800 runs, average 5 a game, and if they do that, they should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and to put things in perspective here, here's last year's opening day lineup for the Seattle Mariners against the San Francisco Giants, a game that they won. Mitch Haniger was leading off, playing right field. Ty France was DHing because at that time we did not think that Ty France had a position. Kyle Seager was hitting third, playing third base, and then this is where it gets a little funky. Hitting fourth, Evan White. I think we know how things ended up with Evan White last year, unfortunately. Hoping that he's able to return and make a healthy return and get back to where we were hoping he would be. Taylor Trammell hitting fifth, playing center field. He's now in Tacoma. Dylan Moore hitting sixth, playing second base. Jake Fraley hitting seventh in left field. Tom Murphy hitting eighth, and then JP Crawford hitting ninth. So the bottom two guys are at least the same. Ty France is still hitting second, but this lineup has gotten a lot beefier. And of course, a pretty good portion of that is Julio Rodriguez, right? At least the excitement for this lineup is Julio Rodriguez. What are you expecting from Julio in his major league debut today?
4 for 4 with 3 home runs. Anything less is a disappointment. No, it'll be interesting to see how he handles it. Julio's a guy who plays with a lot of fire and passion and joy. So it'll be interesting to see. There's nobody more prepared than Julio to come to the big leagues and succeed right away. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I think he'll handle failure just fine. But again, it's game 1 of his major league career. There's a ton of expectation, not only on him, but on the team. There's a lot of question marks surrounding him, particularly center field defense. And he's facing a pretty good pitcher in Joe Ryan. It's not the hardest landing spot for Julio. It's not like he's facing Garrett Cole or anything like that.
Yeah.
But Ryan's a pretty decent pitcher. So it'd be nice to see him make some hard contact. If he can get his first base hit out of the way, that would be awesome. It would, maybe relax him a little bit. But I think Julio's going to swing out of his, on the first pitch he sees.
Sure.
That just seems like something he would do. So, it'd be really nice if you could check in with a hit, just get that out of the way. But I'm just looking for good at bats, hitting the ball with authority. And if, bonus points if he can do it to the opposite field, like he did a lot in spring. So, I'm just looking for him to just kind of, relax, take a deep breath, play the game, and hopefully get that first big league hit out of the way. Yeah.
Well, what did Scott Service tell him in that video where he made the call up official? Just be you. Don't change the way that you play. Don't change who you are. And that's got to stick with Julio here. because it's gonna be a long season, and a lot of guys of his stature don't typically start the season on the big league club. For the first time, this is kind of rare territory. All these guys that we're seeing getting the call up, Bobby Witt Jr., Spencer Torkelson, all these guys. It's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what Julio does against Joe Ryan, who, look, very exciting pitcher, still a prospect. Only has thrown 26 2/3 innings in his career, all last year after he was traded from the Rays to the Twins. He was in the Nelson Cruz deal, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So 10.13 K per nine, 1.69 nice walks per nine, 4.05 ERA, 3.43 FIP.
Close.
But again, yeah, I know, we're right there. But all that again though, in just a little under 27 innings in his career. So don't really know what you're getting out of Joe Ryan. It's going to be interesting to see, but I do like him. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. He's a pretty exciting young pitcher. And it'll be interesting to see how he performs in his first opening day start of his career. Just what is it? It's his 6th career start all time. So pretty young career here for Joe Ryan. Pretty big thing to take on. So early on in his career as well. We'll see if maybe the nerves set in there a little bit for Joe Ryan. All right, we're going to be making some predictions for opening day and for the other 2 games that are going to be happening before you hear from us next on Monday. But real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Built Bar. This is the time of year that I've pretty much given up on all of my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. And it almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. They are low calorie, high protein. So replace your candy bars with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. So go to built.com and scroll down to the macros chart. You'll be blown away. They are high protein, low cal, like I said, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars are 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. And there are so many amazing flavors they have to offer, like mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They are all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. And if they think a flavor might be good, they will make it. It will be delicious, and it will be good for you, most importantly. So go to built.com and try one for yourself, or try a whole bunch for yourself. I mean, you heard all the flavors that I mentioned there. Use promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. Again, that is LOCKED15 for 15% off your order at built.com. You're listening to Locked On Mariners. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every day. And just a reminder to check out Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts, just like us. So Colby, let's make some predictions for opening day. We're probably not going to be doing this every single game, making predictions, but we might do some, picks to click, takes to rake, whatever you want to call it. But right now, let's go simple with it real quick. Let's just get a final score from you.
13-0 Minnesota. I'm gonna say
that would be really bad. Ugh. God.
Yeah.
It's
only game 1 though, so
hey, reverse jinx.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, in typical Mariners fashion, they'll win. It'll be a 1-run game. The bullpen will come in and scare us, but ultimately lock it down, and the Mariners are going to win 5-4.
Hey, future Ty here. I was just editing, and I realized because we had some technical difficulties that happened that I needed to edit out, I ended up forgetting to say my score prediction. So that's a big oopsie on my part. Well, my prediction is 7-4 Mariners over the Twins. Julio Rodriguez is getting his first bomb. And I'm going Jared Kelenic hitting his 4th bomb in a row. He ended the spring really hot. I think that continues into this game, especially against a righty and Joe Ryan. So with that said, let's get back on to the show.
I think Eugenio Suarez goes deep. I think he takes a Joe Ryan curveball deep into left field. We'll see which way the wind's blowing, but Yeah, I think Suarez is going to go deep. I think Frazier's going to have the first hit. I think Robbie Ray is going to go 6 innings, give up 2 runs, strike out 9. And then I think Mashevitz is going to give up a 2-run bomb to Buxton because why wouldn't he? But then Sewell's going to come in and shut the door. So yeah, I'll go 5-4. I think Suarez homers. I think Frazier gets the first hit, and I think Julio will collect his first major league hit in this game.
But not a home run. No home run from Julio.
It probably comes off of Sonny Gray.
All right. So day 2, day 3, we'll see. We'll see when Gray pitches. There's still a little confusion on that front, especially with the Chris Paddock trade that was just made on how the rest of the rotation is going to be put together there for Minnesota. I believe before the trade happened, it was going to be Sonny Gray in game 2 and then Bailey Ober in game 3, but now we don't know. It's just TBD listed right now. So maybe that's changed by the time you were watching this. However, let's talk about Robbie Ray though. How many innings are we thinking Ray's going to go?
5-6 innings, just solid baseball. That's all you need from him, in theory.
Yeah. So I'll say probably 3 earned runs in those 5 innings. Pitch count goes a little high, and Scott Service kind of plays it conservative. I think that's probably a safe bet there. Let's talk about these other 2 games though that I was talking about. So again, it's going to be a little bit hard to predict these because we don't know who the pitchers are exactly going to be for Minnesota, but it's safe to assume that Sonny Gray is at least going to be one of them. Whether or not Bailey Ober is the other, it could also be Dylan Bundy, or it could be Chris Paddock. Who knows? But let's just get a record here for these next 2 games, or just for the weekend as a whole. You already have the Mariners starting out 1-0. They gonna go 3-0, or you think they're gonna disappoint a little bit and we're gonna have a sad time on Monday talking about a 1-2 team?
I think they'll probably take the weekend and then lose Monday. I mean, just throwing that out there. I think they're probably going to split the series if we even get to play on Monday. We'll see.
Yeah.
So I think I like the Mariners pitching. The pitching matchups, at least what I'm assuming they're going to be. And the bullpen is just better than Minnesota. So I think they find a way to win 2 out of 3. Thankfully, Taylor Rogers will not be around. So, yeah, don't have to worry about that Rogers versus Winker matchup late in the game. That definitely would have happened. So,
Yep.
I don't really get that trade for Minnesota. Like, I get it, but but anyways.
If they can fix Paddock, sure.
Sure, but.
Yeah, but right now it's a weird deal. It's a weird deal. And now I think you can understand why the Mariners probably didn't do that. They were, of course, scouting Paddock reportedly, and the Padres had some scouts at a spring training game of the Mariners recently. So
yeah, that's probably, if they even like Sewell, that's probably who they would be asking for. And we're not terrible. He's an interesting player. So yeah, that was just kind of a weird trade for me. But anyways, regardless, I think they probably win 2 out of 3. I like the pitching matchup, particularly on opening day. And then Gilbert versus, I still think it's going to be Gray. And then my guess would be that it's going to be then at that point it's then Marco against Ober.
Yeah,
that's a fun one. There's some fun pitching matchups this weekend. But I like the Mariners' chances to take 2 of 3, but who knows?
That's a dangerous Minnesota offense with Carlos Correa, with Byron Buxton, with adding Gio Urshela, who's super underrated. They've got Jorge Polanco, of course. They've got Max Kepler.
Overrated.
Yeah, it's true. But he can run into one here and there. And
dangerous hitter.
Yeah, more so dangerous. They're more so going to be dangerous against a righty like Logan Gilbert, but instead of the lefties like Marco and Robbie Ray. But that's obviously a guy that you got to look out for. Gary Sanchez has been not great lately, but still has power. And you never know. But it's gonna be a fun little test, as we talked about on yesterday's episode. For the Mariners here, a lot of these series to start the year off are going to be a pretty big test for them. But for me, I'm gonna go 2-1. I think for the weekend, including today's game. I think they'll lose either tomorrow's game or Sunday's game. Probably tomorrow's, though, if I had to guess, since it is Sonny Gray. I could see them only getting a run off of Gray, him going, 4, 5, 6 innings. And I could see it happening. But hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm not cursing the Mariners. Hopefully. But we'll see. We'll see. The good thing is, at least they have some guys that can hit righties pretty well. And that's all they're going to be seeing in the series from the Twins. And Jesse Winker probably in line for a pretty big series, considering how well he hits against righties. And it's about time for him to start hitting, because he only got 2 hits in all spring, and one of them was a infield little dribbler. So yeah, it might be time for him to break out a little bit here in a Mariners uniform. We're going to be talking about the other 2 games more in detail in just a moment, but real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all of the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. And BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. And of course, BetOnline, again, has the Mariners at plus 3,300 odds to win the World Series. I'd throw down a couple bucks on that at least. You never know. You never know. Who thought that the Braves were going to win the World Series without Ronald Acuna Jr.? Crazy. Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about the next 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, because we're not going to be able to cover these games, at least as they're happening. But we'll be live tweeting on Twitter and stuff, and interacting with you on Twitter if you want to chat with us during the games. But again, we assume that Sonny Gray is going to be starting game 2 for the Twins. Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, Dylan Bundy, Chris Archer, someone like that is going to be starting game 3 for the Twins. What's a game here that you feel a little bit more concerned with, and what's a game that you feel, I guess, more confident in the Mariners' ability to come out with a W?
Wouldn't say I'm concerned about any of them.
Okay.
Obviously, Ober's a pretty good pitcher. I'm assuming that's who it's going to be on Sunday. He's pretty good. He had a good year last year. He's a little underrated. He's got that elevated fastball, kind of Chris Young-esque. You guys remember Chris Young when he was with Seattle? It's kind of his go-to thing. So, but yeah, I'm not really all that concerned with anything in the series. It's they're not facing the murderer's row of starting pitching. The Twins are a good team. They're not a great team. The bullpen got weaker today, and I'm not sure their rotation got significantly better.
Right.
So yeah, and we're probably not even going to see Paddock if they just stick him in the 5 spot. So it's I think Seattle's the better team on paper. I think it's pretty close, but I think the bullpen is the differentiator here. So if I had to be, which one do I think they're more likely to lose? Probably the Sonny Gray one, but I still like their odds there with Logan Gilbert on the mound.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to see what Gilbert is able to do with fastball now, the new slider and all that stuff. It's going to be really, really fun to see his first start. Hopefully he doesn't see Kansas City Royals jersey so when he steps out on the field, because that seems to be his kryptonite for some odd reason. What about Marco, though? Marco is someone that honestly kind of just gets lost in the crowd here of this roster with this team in general. We've talked about him a little bit over the last few shows, but this is a guy that was at the top of your rotation for the last few years. He's your clubhouse leader, or one of at least your clubhouse leaders. How are we feeling about Marco now in the 3rd spot in this rotation? Gonna have some more favorable pitching matchups, I would think. And what do you think that does for his value?
Not much. I think Marco's going to be the same guy. I don't think that. I think what you probably saw in 2020 was the outlier. He was very, very good. So I wouldn't expect that. But 2021 is also kind of an outlier when you consider all the factors that were going against him. So I think what you expect from Marco was what you expected from him in 2019, what you got from him in 2019, which is, just kind of a solid, mid-rotation starter. So I don't know if moving from 1 to 3 helps his value at all, because I mean, maybe he can win a few more games, but pitcher wins, who cares? So
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things. I don't really. I'm not that concerned about Marco. Had some rough outings in the spring. All the Mariners starters did. So it's whatever. Marco's a professional. You know what you're going to get with him. He's going to throw a ton of strikes. He's got some new pitches, including a new curveball. So we'll see how that plays against big league hitters. But yeah, it'll be a good test. There's some serious right-handed thunder in the Twins lineup with Correa and Buxton. And Polanco, so Urshela, Sanchez. There's quite a few righty mashers in that lineup. So we'll see what Marco can do with them. But ultimately, I think Marco's going to be just fine.
I'd be remiss if we went this whole show not talking about your boy Luis Ariz.
Yeah, one of the most underrated hitters in baseball.
Is he going to haunt you this weekend?
Probably not. It's mostly going to be singles. So.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
he gets on base a lot, though. He's probably
a very good hitter. He's a very good hitter.
Yeah,
he is Adam Frazier minus the defense.
And maybe fans will be doing a little bit of scouting this week. Yeah, you never know if the Twins are actually going to be in a position to compete this year or not. Maybe Carlos Correa, who has an opt-out after this year. I don't know. I'm not saying it's happening, but I'm also not saying it's not an option either.
No, the Twins have quite a few like maybe Sonny Gray. The
Yeah.
wheels would probably have to come off like completely, like Minnesota's like it did last year, right? People thought Minnesota was going to be pretty good last year. They just weren't.
Yeah.
And so if they do that, they do have some guys now. Gray obviously has one more year of club control, so maybe they just keep him for that go around. But there's plenty of guys on this roster that could conceivably end up in Mariners uniforms.
Yeah.
But if we were on the Minnesota Twins, if we were on Locked On Twins, we might be saying the opposite. Like, hey, the Mariners could easily implode. Maybe there's a few guys on this roster that the Twins could use.
Right.
So who really knows how that's going to go? But there's plenty of reasons for optimism for both of these teams. I actually think they're in a very similar spot. Like the Twins are kind of the Mariners of the Central, where most people think they're going to be pretty good, but they're
had an
clearly
off season that Mariners fans wanted.
they did, but are they now better than the Mariners with all those additions? I don't think so. So we'll see. The Twins probably have fewer question marks offensively. They're relying on fewer young guys, but that pitching staff that could really help them, or it could be their downfall. Like there's a lot of risk in the current pitching staff. So I like the Twins. I'm glad we only have to play them 7 times a year or 6 times a year, depending on the year. I just wish we were going to Minnesota in June instead of April.
Yeah. And Monday's game is in jeopardy. There is rain in the forecast for that one, and I believe some snow flurries as well. Thankfully, Friday, today, Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday all look to be sunny with a little bit of cloud coverage. So
I'm not gonna lie, I would not hate if Monday's game got canceled. Like obviously I would hate it because I want to watch the Mariners, but like
it would be a nice off day. Yeah,
that they lost, basically. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I mean, it's not like they're traveling that far, so they'll probably stick that one out pretty long. I mean, they're only going to Chicago afterwards,
right?
So they probably won't just outright delay it. They'll probably postpone it for a couple hours and blah blah blah. So we'll see what happens with that one. But it sounds like we're going to get at least 3 of these games in, which is not bad considering the location.
And hopefully you can play the last one in June or July or August or
they
somewhere.
Come here,
or they go to Seattle. That would be much preferred. Punish them for not building a roof. Bring them to the stadium that actually has a roof. This game actually would have been played on Thursday had it been scheduled in Seattle. Rain, snow, what have you. They're gonna play no matter what because they have a roof and built it in 2001, whereas Target Field built in, or not 2001, sorry, 1999. And Target Field was built 10 years later. Didn't have a roof. Go figure.
Couldn't figure that one out. Yeah,
but their football stadium does. For a sport
does.
sport that it plays through rain, snow, I don't know, volcano eruptions, earthquakes, name it.
I mean, maybe are there volcanoes in Minnesota? I know Minnesota's got a lot of lakes. They have a lot of mountains.
I just know that the NFL will do pretty much everything it can to play games no matter what, under any circumstance.
True.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
and by the way,
really taking the risk into account.
Yeah. By the way, looking ahead to the Chicago series real fast, or more specifically the Chicago weather, it's going to be in the 60s, which is nice. Really good for Chicago this time of year. It's also going to be raining, and there's thunder and lightning storms predicted on Wednesday. So
Matt Brash's first start might have to be Thursday.
There's a chance that of their first 7 games, the Mariners only play 4 or 5.
Yeah. So
awesome.
That's fun.
Midwest games in April. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. The baseball gods have truly blessed the Seattle Mariners to start the season. Hopefully that's not an omen for how this season goes. Wherever they go, it rains, and hopefully wherever they go, it does rain. Rains bombs. That was poorly executed. Thank you. That's gonna do it for our show today. Thank you so much for joining us here on Locked On Mariners. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. I just thought about it again. Follow me at Dane Gonzalez, it's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode, and thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every day. Hope to see you again on Monday. Hope to see you again all season long as this Mariners team looks to do something pretty special. Now, make your second listen of the day Locked On MLB, where Paul Francis Sullivan, and please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the Major League's present and past. It's free wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. Have yourself a beautiful opening day. Enjoy the game. Go M's, and we will see you on Monday. Peace.